Welcome to this week's Ask EMBN Show. I'm joined by Blake Sampson.
Yay, hi.
We're going to bash our heads together, answer all those e-bike questions you got for us.
Well, I'm going to try. All right, guys, first question coming in from Island Aerials. It's all about his chain and his wear on his bike. Now, it says here, speaking about chains a little more, do you think a smaller Bosch drive sprocket is better or worse than for wearing out chains? Torque related, I suppose.
Yeah, well, obviously the e-bike stuff's pretty heavy on drive chains, as we already know, quite a high wear item. Obviously you need to keep on top of like lubing and degreasing that chain, keeping it clean, taking care when you're changing gears as well. That's a big one because you can wear a chain out quite easily doing that. Obviously you're saying about the Bosch system, so if you don't know, it uses a smaller front drive, so like a 16-2 front sprocket, so it's really small. And the thing is with that, there's a lot less chain contact on that, so each like chain roller and pin as it goes around there is actually having a lot more stress put through the system as well. So in turn, it might lead to a little bit more wear, but I think you just need to keep on top of all your chain maintenance, really. Yeah,
you hit the nail right on the head, but we've made this rad video for you, just for you, to go delve into. Take a look at this.
The chain itself is made of pins, and it's got inner and outer plates, and it's got rollers. Now those rollers need to sit into the troughs between each of the sprocket teeth. Now if the chain stretches a tiny bit, which it does over a duration of time, it's going to start wearing the wrong parts of the teeth on the cassette and on the chainring, which are far more expensive parts of components to replace. So this is why we do recommend having some sort of chain checker. There's two models really on the market. There's the basic one and there's the slightly more advanced one, which has more readings on.
Pretty informative video.
You like that one?
I like that one, yeah. Donnie knows his stuff.
We got this one in from Fanjo. He's saying, can I use the e-bike without the battery? If yes, and can I use it if it rains?
Right, for a start, why would you take a battery out of an e-bike? You might as well have a normal mountain bike. You can actually do it. Yes, you can remove it, yes, if you want to, but when it rains, you don't want water to get in all those contact points, do you?
But you can get some covers for it, so if it really is something you definitely want to do, not that we suggest it, then just make sure those connection ports are all covered up, as Blake mentions.
Yeah. This next question is quite an interesting one. Because it's probably on everyone's minds. It's coming from JUSTAHAPPYFELLOW. Well, he sounds happy already. He's asking this question: buying a cheaper hub drive e-bike and upgrading it to the group set, or just buying a more expensive one straight out?
Well, we actually did this quite recently. The hub drive stuff is really good entry point for it, and obviously it's a cheap way to get into e-biking, but it does have its limitations, especially when you get into the deeper like off-road technical terrain. But that's fine if you're just going to be riding like commuting and fire road tracks and like smooth off-road stuff. But I would say trying to go for the mid-drive, so it's a little bit more expensive, so you've got the motor in the middle of the frame. Those bikes just tend to work a little bit better off-road. Things like climbing is definitely a lot better, and the bike's got a lot more balance feel to it. And then the other thing you need to look at as well is hardtail or full suspension. I'm guessing if you're on a budget, you're going to be on a hardtail bike. But the full suspension bike is better off-road, but everything can be done on a hardtail. You need to go along, test it all out really, but we've done loads of videos on this. We've done hub drive versus hub drive versus mid-drive.
Now this is actually quite a short section of trail, and typically if you're out and about in the hills, you'll probably be doing more extended versions of this trail. As you can see, I've actually breezed up that section, and then it actually enables you to go quite easily up really technical trails.
It's pretty amazing that. Breathed it. Seriously, that looks super easy on the high bike. For me, I think the pluses and minuses for this bike was that it simply breezed up the track when it was super smooth. Power delivery felt really good, but as soon as it got a bit more technical, I could feel the rear wheel weight of that hub motor just like pulling the bike back on the steps.
I think also once it started getting a little bit steeper, I could see you putting more effort into it.
Yeah.
And it was the same on the Cyclomatic. It's okay up to a certain gradient, and then you get past that gradient, and these motors really do start to struggle.
Definitely.
However, this is where the high bike with the mid-drive motor, this is where mid-drive motor e-bikes are simply in a class of their own.
Very informative video there about hub drives and all that jazz. Pretty interesting.
It's good, cool stuff. Got this one in from RANDYMTB. He's saying, hello EMBN crew.
Hello.
Love your show, cheers. I'm ready to purchase my first e-bike. I'm really considering the Specialized Turbo Levo Expert because of its extended battery life and overall great reviews of the bikes. Question, should I buy the Bullet or get one now, or do you see any reason I should wait until the 2020 models are released and may have big improvements? Just thought you guys might have some insight as to what's coming up for next year.
Do you know what? I'm a big fan of those bikes. I love the look of them. They look super slick, super special. They're at the forefront of the e-bike generation, really. They are pushing the boundaries, making these things super cool and look like a normal bike. But I reckon just push the button and get it, because there's not many. Yeah, there's not many changes going on. We don't know, but there's not many changes, and they'll probably be the same.
Yeah, I think push the button, get one now.
Yeah, you won't regret it. I think so. I need to get one of them.
Yeah, but we've done a really cool first look Levo video. Check this one out.
Ooh.
With a ground-up redesign, this bike has lost a big chunk of weight. In fact, this new Levo is one of the lightest e-mountain bikes in the world. It's nimble, it's fun, and guess what? The range on the Levo has increased by 40%. That is massive. The mood of the Levo remains. It's always been about living for the ride, not riding for the levers, the buttons, and the relays.
Now that was a very sexy bike.
It was super cool, isn't it?
I like those bikes. Right, we've got a next question coming in from Chris Arnold. Now he's on a budget. He wants to buy his first e-bike. Now he's got £3,500. It's quite a nice budget for an e-bike, but he's after a full sus.
Right.
Now he lives in the Peak District. There's loads of riding there that could be done on an e-bike, and I think is the best place for an e-bike. What do you suggest? There's loads out there.
Yeah, for £3,500 you've got a big budget already, as Blake's mentioned. It'd be impossible for just to reel off a list of bikes, but there's 10 to 15 bikes I could think of, top of my head. I think you need to go along to a demo day, check out those different bikes, check out the different motors, check out what travel you want. You're suggesting you live in the Peak District, big climbs there, so maybe something a little bit shorter travel, like a trail bike, or cross-country style.
I think that's a good starting point, is at the motor, because that's the main thing. Yeah, like your battery life, what brand?
Yeah, definitely.
Bosch, Specialized, whatever.
And battery life as well. It sounds like you're into the bigger rides, so maybe go for those bigger batteries. But literally, I'd do a checklist, little tick list, get along to a demo day and tick everything off, what matters to you. But we've done a really good video on demo days and shop rides, things like that. Check this one out.
Ooh.
Why then would you do a demo event in the first place? Well, the primary aim is actually to make sure you make the right decision of e-bike for you. It's also a good way to open your eyes to exactly what's on the market. After all, the market is overflowing with different brands. For example, Lapierre, Orange, Specialized, Cube, Canyon. There's so many bikes out there. It's not only just the bikes, it's also the model within the range as well. For example, this high bike, an Enduro 180mm travel, or the All Mountain 150mm travel. And it's not just the models, it's the componentry specs within that range as well. Plus, of course, there's that important thing about fit and sizing.
Right, Matt Johansson. Hi guys, love the show. Cheers. Hello. Thinking of converting to the e-side of bikes, and I've been looking at a few brands. Some with electronic gear shifting and some without. What are your thoughts, pros and cons, and is it worth the extra cost? Merida E160 900, YT Decoy, and the Canyon Spectral On are all top of my list.
Whoa, I've ridden the Canyon Spectral On. It's a lovely bike. Yeah. It's light for an e-bike. What?
Di2 shift.
Di2 gears, electric gears on an That's some high end, but but that's very expensive. It goes wrong on that.
Yeah, it's super expensive. I think obviously e-bike drive chains, as you mentioned earlier, are a high wear item, although the actual wear items on the stuff won't be any different if you run an electronic or standard group set on your bike. Thing is, with the Di2 system, when combined with the steps, it actually eases off the power. So when you're upshifting...
No.
Yeah, so
it cuts power.
Yeah. So it cuts the power, so you're not crunching up and down through the gears, and obviously that's quite an easy way to wear out the Chainring cassette. So having that combined with the step system could save you a little bit on wear, but obviously it is a lot of money.
I didn't even know that.
There you go.
What, it cuts power from the gears to the motor to change the gear.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Now that is some brain power in a mountain bike.
Technology, look.
Flippin' heck. There you go, hopefully that question's answered. Well, flabbergasted. This next question is coming in from WENDELL MEAD. It says, I bought a Mountain to Sea Cush eMTB. So far I've had a blast riding it. However, he wants to learn a few basic tricks on this bike.
Right.
Now this bike, weighs 70 pounds, so he's worried he's going to break it.
70 pounds.
70 pounds, that's quite heavy, isn't it?
It's pretty heavy for an e-bike. It depends on the sort of tricks you want to do, really. A nice way of learning it, if you have got access to a normal mountain bike, is just to jump on that and try and learn those techniques. And the thing is, with an e-bike, you've just got to multiply the effort you put into those tricks.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot heavier, obviously, your bike compared to a standard mountain bike. So you just got to work really hard. It's the same techniques, but literally for a manual, you've got to try like 4 times as hard on over a standard bike.
But if you haven't got access to one of those little bikes, I would recommend just starting with super basics, like a wheelie, a manual, an endo, even like a endo 180, just to get that back wheel around, or move at 90. Just mess around on the flat ground, getting up onto curbs.
It's
That's the basic tricks you can do. It's going to be a lot more work, but sheesh, you'll be fine.
We got this one in from Stefan Cretu. He's saying, hi, I have a Whistler Beware CX500. It's a pretty entry-level bike, but he's saying, after a long trail ride, my hands are dead, but he wants to upgrade the fork. And I'm thinking of adding 20 mil more travel to it, but he's concerned about the geometry of the bike. What are you thinking?
20 mil is not much, is it? No. It's not going to affect the bike too much in regarding geometry and that. It's going to be fine. But I think go for it, yeah. If you can do it, do it.
Maybe look at other things as well before you go swapping the fork out. Maybe to look at things like tyre pressure, how you've got your suspension set up, and probably your ride position, because you're saying about dead hands, and normally dead hands is because you've got too much weight on your handlebars. So basically you need to either raise the bars up, you could do this with a higher rise bar or a higher rise stem, or maybe just swapping a few little spaces around. Because that way you're going to lift the weight off your hands and, you know, change that ride position. That could be this, you know, the cure for it without spending a load of money on an expensive fork.
Try that first before spending loads of money. This is a technical question. It's all about suspension setup, and it's coming in from Mark and Krach, I think how you say it. Sorry. It says, hi, could you explain how to set up Öhlins on a TTX on a Kenevo? Now you've got one of those.
Yeah, I've got one of those.
You've got Öhlins.
I have, it'd be couldn't just give you any information just to set up the shot, because everyone rides a suspension different. You know, you probably run your rebound speed different to what I run, and compression, things like that. And basics on suspension settings, it's basically if you've got like 10 clicks, say on a rebound or something, wind it in one way and then count the clicks as you wind it out. It might have 10 clicks basically, so you need to wind it back in 5, and that way you're going to be in the middle of your shock settings. Then you can plus and minus it to to suit you and your riding style. As I say, we couldn't recommend any settings. I think start in the middle and get used to the bike too. Don't go swapping it out every single ride. You know, you see lots of people messing around with the suspension.
Faffers.
Yeah, and they never get used to one suspension setting. So to get used to it, set it in the middle, plus and minus it, maybe just get it dialed in. But that's it for this week's show. Thanks for sending in your questions. But if you guys have got any questions you want to ask us, hashtag Ask EMBN, drop them in the comments box below. And if you want to stick around and you want to see some other rad coolness to keep watching, click just over here. Don't forget to subscribe to EMBN by clicking the globe. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week. See ya!